You've probably noticed, right? Suddenly, everyone is talking about semiconductors. It's become this incredibly high-stakes global game. And right at the center of it all is this one massive question. Can India actually win a piece of this multi-billion-dollar pie? Well, it turns out the most obvious answer might not be the smartest one. Let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the global chip race and that billion-dollar fab dream that every country is chasing. Then we're going to look at a much smarter path for India, one that focuses on an advantage it already has. And finally, we'll see how this strategy could make the country an absolutely essential player in the tech world.
All right, first up, the global chip race. Before we can even talk about who's winning, we need to get our heads around why this race is even happening. Why is it such a massive deal for, well, everyone?
I mean, seriously, what's with the sudden global obsession? It feels like it came out of nowhere. But the truth is, these tiny little pieces of silicon have quietly become the absolute bedrock of our entire modern world.
Just think about your day-to-day. The car you drive, the washing machine in your home, even life-saving medical gear like blood glucose monitors. They all run on chips. And it goes way beyond that. They're the brains behind our critical defense systems, our telecom networks, all our advanced healthcare. Take them away and the world we know just stops working.
Okay, so when you hear countries talking about getting into the chip game, they're almost always talking about one thing: building these huge, futuristic, and incredibly expensive factories. To really get this, let's think of chip making like a three-act play. Act 1 is the design, where brilliant engineers create these super intricate blueprints. Act 2 is manufacturing. This is where those billion-dollar factories, the fabs, carve the designs onto silicon. And Act 3, that's something called OSAT. It's where the finished chips get assembled, tested, and packaged up.
Now, the star of this whole show, the part that gets all the headlines, all the government money, all the attention, is Act 2, manufacturing. This is the big prize everyone seems to be chasing.
And India is definitely chasing it. The government has put a massive $10 billion incentive package on the table. That's a huge signal to the world that they want those fabs built right here. But, and this is a big but, here's the reality check. While $10 billion is a ton of money, it's just one piece of a much, much bigger global subsidy race. You've got giants like the US and China throwing around something closer to $50 billion each. The competition is just on another level. So what's the big deal? Why is everyone so obsessed? Well, landing a single fab creates thousands of jobs, for one. But more than that, it anchors an entire high-tech ecosystem, pulling in suppliers and R&D labs. Plus, it's about power, geopolitical autonomy. It means you don't have to depend on other countries for the brains inside your most critical industries. But trying to jump straight to building a cutting-edge fab, well, that's a monumental task. And this is where we really need to take a step back and have a little reality check. Because here are the harsh realities. These fabs take years just to build and even longer to run at full speed. They need a tiny, super specialized pool of talent that everyone is fighting for. And the infrastructure needs are insane. We're talking 24/7, rock-solid power, and millions of liters of ultra-pure water every single day. For a newcomer, the learning curve is practically a vertical wall. So let's just put these two side by side for a second. Fabs, extremely high cost, super secret tech, and extreme needs for water and power. Now look at OSAT, the assembly and testing part. Yeah, the investment is still high, but it's a lot lower. And the key requirement shifts from hard-to-get tech to skilled labor. And the infrastructure needs, far more manageable. And right there, that's the strategic opening. So what exactly is OSAT again? Just think of it as the indispensable backstage crew of the whole chip-making show. The fabs are the stars on stage, sure, but OSAT is where the real work happens to make them useful, where those shiny silicon wafers are cut up, wired, tested like crazy, and packaged so they can actually go into our phones and computers. And this, right here, is where the whole strategy pivots. Instead of trying to be the star of the show on day one, what if India decided to become the best in the world at being the indispensable backstage crew? What if it played to its strength? And India has some serious strengths to play with.
You've got a massive pool of electronics and software talent. You already have a deep base in chip design, with global companies running huge centers in places like Bengaluru for decades. Throw in strong supply chains for cars and phones, better logistics, and a world that's desperate for more packaging capacity, all the pieces are right there. So, the strategy becomes crystal clear. Become a world-class expert in Act 3 first. You master the end of the supply chain, and then, from that position of power and expertise, you start moving upstream towards the really complex world of manufacturing.
And you know, the real genius of this approach is how practical it is. It neatly sidesteps the biggest roadblocks right at the start. By focusing on OSAT, India doesn't have to solve its massive water and power challenges before it can even get a foot in the door of the chip game.
Okay, so this sounds like a smart plan, but how does India actually pull it off? What's the real-world roadmap to becoming a global hub for chip packaging?
Well, the best part is this isn't just a theory anymore. The wheels are already turning. The government's offering a huge 50% grant on capital costs, which makes it way less risky for companies to invest. And look who's already jumping in. We've got major projects kicking off from massive names like Micron, HCL, Foxconn, and Tata. This is happening.
So you can see the path forward, right? It builds on itself. Step 1, use those incentives to bring in the big-name customers. Once they're here, Step 2, build out a whole local ecosystem of suppliers around their plants. And all the while, Step 3, partner with these global giants to constantly upgrade the skills of your local workforce. It creates this amazing upward spiral.
And it all comes down to one powerful goal. The strategy isn't just about getting a seat at the table. It's about becoming so good, so efficient, and so deeply integrated that, in the end, India becomes utterly indispensable to the world's biggest chip makers.
And let's be really clear about this. This isn't about abandoning the fab dream. Not at all. It's about being smarter about how you get there. It's about building a powerful foundation, making money, developing talent, and creating a robust ecosystem first. That way, when you do make the leap into manufacturing, you're doing it from a position of strength. It's a strategy for true long-term resilience. Which leaves us with one last really fascinating question. For decades, India earned the title of the world's back office. But by playing to its strengths and executing this smart strategy, could it now transform into the world's essential chip packaging powerhouse? You know, the possibility is looking very real indeed.